Chapter 34. The great sage wins the treasures through improvisation with the imitation gourd in their hands. The two little devils were quarreling over who should examine it when they looked up and saw that Monkey had disappeared. "Brother," said Skillful Beast, "even immortals tell lies sometimes. He said that when we'd swap the treasures, he would make us into immortals. How come he's vanished without a word?" "We got ourselves a very good bargain," said Dexterous Ghost, "and he would not dare disappear. Pass the gourd over. I want to put this guy in it and try it out." He tossed the gourd into the air, but it came crashing down again, to the distress of Skillful Beast, who asked, "Why won't it take in the sky? Could it be that it was some novice disguised as an immortal and they swapped an imitation gourd for a real one?" "Nonsense," said Dexterous Ghost. "Some, the novice is crushed under those 3 mountains. How could he possibly have got out? Pass the gourd over. I'll say the words of the spell he made and we'll put this guy inside." He too then threw the gourd up into the air, saying, "If there's so much as a hint of a refusal, I'll be coming up to the Hall of Miraculous Mist to give battle." The gourd hit the ground before he could even finish saying the spell. "The sky hasn't gone in," they both said. "It must surely be a fake." Up in the sky, the great sage sun, Wukong, could hear every word they said and see all that was happening while they made this commotion. For fear that they would go on too long and let the news out where it mattered, he shook himself and put the hair that had been turned into a gourd back on his body, leaving both the little devils completely empty-handed. "Give me the gourd, brother," said Dexterous Ghost. "You give it me," said Skillful Beast. Heavens, it's disappeared! They both started to search wildly on the ground and in the grass, putting their hands in their sleeves and in their tunics, but it was nowhere to be found. "Whatever shall we do?" said the 2 horror-struck little devils. "Whatever shall we do?" "His Supreme Majesty gave them to us to catch Sun the Novice with. Now we haven't caught him and the treasures have disappeared. We can't report this to him or he'll have us beaten to death. Whatever are we going to do?" "Let's run away," said Skillful Beast. "Where to?" asked Dexterous Ghost. "Anywhere," said Skillful Beast, "because if we go back and say that we've lost the treasures, that'll obviously be the end of us." "No," said Dexterous Ghost. "Don't let's run away. Let's go back. Both their majesties are usually very fond of you, and I'll put in a word for you. If they are prepared to make allowances, they'll spare your life. Even if we can't talk them out of having us beaten to death, at least they'll do it there, and we won't be caught between 2 stools. Let's go back." Having made their minds up, the 2 little demons set out back to their own mountain. Monkey, watching them heading back from where he was up in the sky, shook himself and turned into a fly that flew down and followed them. Where, you may wonder, did he put his treasures now that he was a fly? Had he left them on the path or hidden them in the grass, someone might have found them and taken them, and all his efforts would have been for nothing. So he kept them on his person. But a fly is only the size of a bean. How could he find room for them? Because those 2 treasures of his, like his gold-banded cudgel, were as you will Buddha treasures that grow or shrink with you. That was why he could keep them on. He went buzzing along after the devils. Before long, he was inside the cave, where the 2 demon kings were sitting and drinking. The 2 little devils went up to them and knelt down. Monkey perched on the doorframe, listening. "Your Majesties," said the little devils. "So you're back," said the junior demon king, putting down his cup. "Yes," said the little devils. "Have you got Sun the Novice?" was the next question. The 2 little devils banged their heads on the ground, not daring to reply. The old devils asked again, and still they dared not answer, but just kept banging their heads on the ground. Only when they had been asked this several more times did they prostrate themselves and say, "Forgive us. We deserve to die 1,000 times. Forgive us. We were taking the treasures into the mountains when we met an immortal from Mount Penglay. He asked us where we were going, and we told him we were off to catch Sun the Novice. When the immortal heard about the Sun the Novice, he said he was angry with him too, and wanted to come along and help. We never asked him to, but we told him all about how we were going to put Sun into the treasure. The immortal had a gourd too that the whole sky could be put into. Because we were greedy to do our family a good turn, we swapped our man-holder for his sky-holder. At first we offered a gourd for a gourd, but then Skillful Beast threw the vase in for good measure. But his immortal's treasure was not for the mortal likes of us. We were trying it, Outwin, Gordon, and Immortal both disappeared. We beg you to spare us the deaths we deserve. At this, the senior demon king thundered, damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it. It was some novice disguised as an immortal to trick them out of you. That monkey has enormous magic powers and has knows people everywhere. What hairy little god let him out to con our treasures out of us? Please calm yourself, brother, said the junior demon king. That ape is the bloody limit. With all those powers, it should have been enough for him to escape. Why did he have to trick us out of our treasures? If I don't have the powers to catch him, then I'll never be a monster on the road west again. How are you gonna get him? Asked the senior king. We had 5 treasures, said the junior king. So even after losing 2, we have 3 left with which we can and must capture him. What 3 treasures? Asked the senior king. The 7-star sword and the plantain fan that I carry with me, the junior king replied. And the dazzling golden cord that's kept at our old mother's place in the crushed dragon cave and crushed dragon cave and crushed dragon mountain. We should now send a couple of little devils to invite our mother to a meal of the town priest's flesh and ask her to bring the dazzling golden cord to catch son the novice with. Which one should we send? Asked the senior king. Not rubbish like those 2, replied the junior king, who then shouted at dexterous ghost and skillful beast to get up. What luck, they said. We weren't beaten, and we weren't sworn that we've been let off. Send for my regular attendants, Mountain Tiger and Ocean Dragon, ordered the junior king. The 2 of them knelt before him while he gave them his instructions. You must be very cautious. We'll be cautious, they replied. And careful. We'll be careful, they replied. Do you know the way to our mother's home? He asked. We do, they replied. In that case, go as soon as you can. When you get to the old lady's place, bow to her very respectfully, then invite her to a meal of the Tang priest's flesh and ask her to bring the dazzling golden cord with her to catch son the novice. The 2 demons obediently hurried off, unaware that Monkey had heard every single word. He spread his wings and flew till he caught up with Mountain Tiger and settled on him. After about a mile, he was going to kill the pair of them when he reflected. Killing them would be no problem, but I don't know where the old lady keeps her dazzling golden cord. I'd better question them before killing him. Splendid monkey. He flew buzzing away from the 2 little devils and let them get a good 100 paces ahead. He then changed himself with a shake into another little devil with a fox-skin cap and a tiger-skin kilt worn upside down, who hurried after them and called, Wait a moment, travelers. Ocean Dragon looked back and asked, Where are you from? My dear brother Monkey replied, Don't you even recognize members of your own household? You're not one of us, said the little devils. What do you mean? Said Monkey. Take another look and see if you can recognize me. You're a stranger, they replied, and we've never met. That's right, Monkey said. You've never met me. I'm one of the outside staff. Well then, the little devils replied, We would never have met you, sir. Where are you going? His Majesty told me, Monkey said, that he'd sent you 2 gentlemen to invite the old lady to a meal of the Tang priest's flesh. You were to ask her to bring the dazzling golden cord along to catch son the novice. He's worried that you 2 would dawdle and misbehave yourselves and mess things up, so he sent me along too to hurry you up. As he knew all the details, the 2 little devils were not at all suspicious. They believed that Monkey really was one of them. They rushed along in a great hurry for about 3 miles. This is too fast, said Monkey. How far have we gone? About 5 miles, said the little devils. And how much further is there to go? Just to the black wood over there, said Ocean Dragon, pointing it out. Monkey looked up to see a dark stretch of woodland not far away. The old demon must live somewhere nearby, he thought. So he stopped to let the little devils get ahead of him, pulled out his cudgel, rushed after them, and took a swipe at their legs. Unfortunately, he hit them so hard that he turned the 2 little devils into mincemeat. He hid himself deep in the undergrowth beside the path, pulled out one of his hairs, blew on it, said change, and turned it into Mountain Tiger. He turned himself into Ocean Dragon. Then the 2 imitation devils headed for the crushed dragon cave to deliver the invitation to the old lady. Indeed, great are the powers of the 72 transformations. Greatest of all is the art of improvisation. With 4 or 5 bounds, both of him was in the wood. He searched until he saw a pair of stone doors standing ajar. Not daring to charge in, he shouted, Open the doors. The little she-devil on the doors was so startled that she opened one of them wide. "Where are you from?" she asked. "We've been sent from the Lotus Flower Cave on Flat Top Mountain with an invitation for the old lady," said Monkey, and the little she-devil invited both of him in. When he reached the inner doors, he peeped around them and saw an old woman sitting in the middle of the cave. Do you know what she looked like? A map of snow-white hair, stars shining bright, a ruddy, wrinkled countenance, few teeth, and a majestic manner. She looked like a chrysanthemum amid the frost, with a face the color of old pine trees after rain. A white silk scarf was wrapped around her head, and jewels studded her golden earrings. When Sun the Great Sage saw her, he did not go in, but covered his face with his hands and started to sob outside the inner doors. Do you know why he was crying? Could it be because he was afraid of her? But even if he had been afraid, crying would have been no use. Besides, he had tricked them out of their treasures and killed the little demons. So what did he have to cry about? He had never shed a single tear the time when he had been put inside 9 cauldrons and deep-fried in oil for 8 or 9 days on end. It was only the thought of the Tang priest's suffering and his quest for the scriptures that upset him so badly that he wept as he reflected thus. I've used my powers to turn into a little demon and come with an invitation for this she-devil. It wouldn't do for me to stay upright when I talk to her. I'll have to kowtow to her. In my life, I've only kowtowed to 3 people. Lord Buddha in the Western Heaven, Bodhisattva Guanyin in the Southern Ocean, and the Master I kowtowed to him 4 times when he delivered me from the Double Boundary Mountain, and for him I'd wear out the 6 blades of my lungs and liver and the 3 hairs and 7 apertures of my heart. But is it really worth banging my head on the ground before this she-devil for a roll of scripture? If I don't, I'll give the game away. This is terrible. I suppose it's only because the Master is in trouble that I'll humiliate myself like this. As he had no choice, he rushed in, knelt down, and announced that he was kowtowing to the old lady. "Get up, my child," said the she-devil. Monkey was delighted that his announcement had worked. "Where are you from?" the old devil asked. "I have been sent at the command of the 2 kings of the Lotus Flower Cave in Flat Top Mountain to invite you, ma'am, to a meal of the Tang priest's flesh. They also ask you to bring your dazzling golden cord to capture Sun the Novice with." The old devil was very pleased indeed. "What good, dutiful boys," she said, sending for her carrying chair. "Good Lord," said Monkey to himself. "Fancy a demon being carried in a chair." 2 she-devils came up from behind with a chair made of fragrant rattan. They set it down outside the doors, then lifted the green gauze curtain. The old devil left the cave and got into the chair. Some young she-devils followed her with comb boxes, mirrors and stands, towels, and a scent box. "What are all you here for? I'm going to visit my own sons, and there'll be no shortage of people to look after me there. I won't need you lot to fuss over me and natter. Go back in, shut the doors, and look after the place." All the little demons, apart from the 2 chair porters, did indeed go back in. "What are you 2 messengers called?" asked the old she-devil. "He's called Mountain Tiger," Monkey quickly replied. "And I'm Ocean Dragon. You 2 take the lead and clear the way for me," said the old she-devil. Stinking luck, thought Monkey. No scriptures yet, on top of which I've got to be her slave. As there could be no question of refusing, he had to lead the way, chanting loudly, "Lift the chair." When he'd covered a couple of miles or thereabouts, he sat down on the edge of a precipice. When the chair porters caught him up, he suggested, "What about a little rest? Your shoulders must be aching under the weight." Not realizing that this was a trick, the little devils put the chair down. Standing behind it, Monkey pulled a hair from his chest and turned it into a sesame bun that he ate as he held it. "What are you eating, sir?" the chair porters asked. "It's a bit awkward to explain," replied Monkey. "We came a very long way to invite Her Highness, but as I've been given no food, I'm hungry. When I've eaten some of these dry rations I brought with me, we can be on our way. Give us a bit," the porters pleaded. "Come over here then," said Monkey. There's no need to be too careful within the family. Unaware of what was up, the little devils crowded round Monkey for a share of his dry rations, whereupon he produced his cudgel. The one he hit on the head was smashed to pulp when trying to ward the blow off. The other, who was only grazed, survived to groan aloud. Hearing these groans, the old demon poked her head out from the chair to take a look. Monkey leapt round to the front of the chair and brought his cudgel down on her head, denting her skull and making blood and brains spurt out. Dragging her out of the chair for a good look, he found she was really a nine-tailed vixen. "Vicious brute," he said. "Fancy you having yourself called your highnesses. If you're your highness, then you ought to address me as supreme ancestral lord." The splendid Monkey King then found her dazzling golden cord and gloated as he tucked it up his sleeve. "Those lousy demons may have their magical powers, but 3 of their treasure are mine now." He then pulled out 2 more hairs that he turned into doubles of Mountain Tiger and Ocean Dragon, as well as 2 more that he turned into the chair porters. He then made himself look like the old lady sat in the chair and had it carried straight back the way he had come. It was not long before they were at the entrance to the Lotus Flower Cave, and the 2 hares-turned chair porters were clamoring for the doors to be opened. The little devil on the doors asked whether Mountain Tiger and Ocean Dragon were back. "Yes," replied the hares. "Did you persuade Her Highness to come?" "Can't you see her in the chair?" asked the hares, pointing. "Wait a moment while I report inside," said the little devil, who went in to announce, "Your Majesties, Her Highness is here." At this, the 2 demon kings had a table of incense sticks set out to greet her. Monkey was quietly delighted to hear all this. What luck, he thought. It's my turn to do it in style now. I had to now tow with the invitation to the old she-devil when I turned myself into a little devil. Now that I've turned myself into a little devil, I'm their mother, and they'll have to note all 4 times to me. It may not mean much, but at least I'll be a couple of count up. The splendid great sage got out of the carrying chair, straightened his clothes, and put the 4 hairs back on his body. The little devil on the doors carried the empty chair inside, and Monkey walked slowly in behind him, imitating the old she-devil's affected wiggles. As he went straight in, devils big and small knelt in greeting. A drum and fife band started to play, and clouds of incense rose from the Boshan burners. On reaching the main hall, he sat down, facing regally south, while the 2 demon kings kowtowed to him with the words, "Mother, your children no tow to you." "Get up, my children," said Monkey. Pig, still hanging from a roof beam, began to roar with laughter. "You're a fine one, brother," said Friar Sand, laughing while hung up. "I know what I'm doing," said Pig. "And what are you doing?" asked Friar Sand. "I was afraid that when the old woman came we'd be cooked and eaten. But it's not her. It's the old story." "What old story?" asked Friar Sand. "The protector of the horses is here," said Pig. "How can you tell?" asked Friar Sand. When she leant forward and said, "Get up, my children," a monkey's tail stuck out behind her. "I can see better than you because I'm hung up higher." "Stop talking," said Friar Sand. "Let's listen to what they say." "Yes, yes," said Pig. "Well, boys, why have you asked me here?" asked Monkey as he sat between the 2 demon kings. "Mother," they replied, "we've been most discourteous to you for many days and not done our duty by you. But this morning we captured the Tang priest from the east, and we wouldn't dream of eating him by ourselves. So we invited you over to present him to you. Live. We'll cook him and offer him to you to eat. He'll prolong your life." "I won't eat the Tang priest's flesh, dear boys," Monkey replied, "but they do say that pig's ears are delicious. Could you cut them off and have them prepared? They'd go down well with a drink." "A pox on you," exclaimed Pig in panic when he heard. "So you're here to cut my ears off? What I'll have to say won't make pleasant listening." "Oh dear!" Because the idiot's remarks gave the game away, the Monkey King's cover was blown. In burst a crowd of little demons, mountain rangers, and doorkeepers to report disaster, your majesties. Some the novices killed the old lady and disguised himself as her. The moment the demon kings heard this, there was no time for arguments. The 7-star sword was brought out, and it cut straight at Monkey's face. The splendid great sage moved in a flash. The cave was full of red light, and he was gone. A trick like that really was fun. He could concentrate himself into solid form or disperse into vapor. The senior demon king was out of his wits with terror, while all the other devils hit their fingers and shook their heads. "Gah!" said the senior king. "Let's give the Tang priests Freya, Sand, Pig, the White Horse, and all their baggage back to Sun the Novice and end the quarrel between us." "What a thing to say," replied the junior king. "Goodness only knows how much trouble we went to in our plan to capture all those monks. But now you're so intimidated by Sun the Novice's amazing transformations that you want to give everything back to him. You really are a coward. No man would act like that. You sit down and stop being so terrified. I've heard you tell of his tremendous magical powers, but I've never tried my skill against his, although we did meet. Bring me my armor. I'm gonna find him and fight 3 rounds with him. If he can't beat me in those 3 rounds, then the Tang priest will be ours to eat. And if I can't beat him, we'll give him back the Tang priest." "You're right, brother," said the older demon, who then ordered that the armor be brought out. This was done. When the junior demon king was fully accoutered, he took his sword in his hand and went outside calling Sun the Novice. "Where have you gone?" The great sage, who was now up in the clouds, turned round to look as soon as he heard his name called, and saw that it was the junior demon king. This was how he was dressed. The phoenix helmet on his head outdid the winter snow. His battle armor shone with the glint of steel. The girdle at his waist was woven from dragon sinews. Soft leather boots had folds like plum blossom. A face like a living true lord of Guangku, a countenance no different from the mighty miracle god. The 7-star sword was brandished in his fist. Great was his wrath that rose to the clouds. "Sun the Novice," roared the junior king, "give back our treasures and our mother, and we will free your Tang priest to go to fetch the scriptures." The great sage could not restrain himself from abusing him. "You revolting demon, you don't know what you're up against in me. Give me back my master, my brothers, the White Horse, and our baggage, and throw in some traveling expenses for our journey west too. If so much as the hint of a no slips out between your teeth, you better start making your own rope to save me the trouble of doing it myself." On hearing this, the junior demon king sent a cloud shooting up and sprang into midair, swinging his sword round to cut through Monkey, who struck at his face with his iron cudgel. The fight between them in the sky was magnificent. Well-matched chess players, a general against a worthy foe. A well-matched chess player must show his mettle. Only against a worthy foe can a general win glory. When these divine warriors clashed, it was like tigers fighting in the southern hills, or dragons struggling in the northern seas. Where dragons struggle, their scales glisten. When tigers fight, claws and teeth wreak havoc. The claws and teeth wreak havoc, falling like silver hooks. The scales, as they glisten, are iron leaves. The one twists and turns, performing 1,000 maneuvers. The other moves to and fro, never relaxing for an instant. The gold-banded cudgel comes within inches of the skull. The 7-star sword strives for a thrust to the heart. The one strikes fear into the stars. The other's wrath is more terrible than lightning. The 2 of them fought 30 rounds, but neither came out on top. Monkey was delighted, though without showing it. "So this vicious devil is a match for my iron cudgel. As I've already got his 3 treasures, I'm only wasting my time slogging it out with him like this. It'd be much better to pop him into the gourd or the vase. But that's no good," he reflected further. "As the saying goes, a possession is at its owner's disposal. If they don't do what I tell them, everything will be ruined. I'll have to lasso him with the dazzling golden cord, using one hand to parry the magic sword with his cudgel. The splendid great sage raised the rope in the other and sent it whistling through the air to lasso the demon king. Now the king had a rope tightening spell and a rope loosening spell. When he lassoed others, he would say the tightening spell, and nobody would be able to get free. And if he lassoed his own people, he would say the loosening spell, and no one would be hurt. Recognizing this rope as one of his own family's treasures, he said the loosening spell, at which the knee slid open. He got free and threw the rope back at Monkey, catching him. Before the great sage could apply some slimming magic to escape, the demon had recited the tightening spell. Monkey was held fast, unable to free himself. He was locked tight by a gold ring at his neck. The demon jerked at the rope and pulled him over, then struck 7 or 8 blows at his head with the magic sword. This did not even redden Monkey's scalp. "If your head's that hard, you ache. I'll not hack at you anymore." the demon said. I'll take you back to kill later. Give me my true treasures back at once. I haven't got any treasures of yours, Monkey replied, so why ask me? The Demon King searched him very carefully, found the gourd in the vase, and dragged him back into the cave by the rope. Brother, I've got him, he announced. Who? The Senior King asked. Son of Novice, replied the Junior King. Come and see. When the Senior King saw that it was Monkey, his face was wreathed in smiles. It's him, he said. It's him. Tie him to a pillar with a very long rope, and we'll have some fun with him. And indeed, Monkey was tied up while the two Demon Kings went into the back hall for a drink. Monkey's fidgeting at the foot of the pillar disturbed Pig. As he hung from his beam, the idiot mocked Monkey. So you didn't manage to eat those ears. Fool, said Monkey. Do you like hanging up there? If I get out, I guarantee that I'll rescue you all. You're shameless, said Pig. Quite shameless. You can't escape yourself, and you want to rescue others. I've had enough. Let's all die with the master. Then at least we'll be able to ask the way for him in the underworld. Stop talking such nonsense, said Monkey, and watch me get out. How? Pig asked. While the great sage told Pig he was keeping a sharp eye on the two Demon Kings who were feasting inside while little demons brought them dishes of food and jugs of wine. The two of them were staggering all over the place, and security was very relaxed. Seeing that there was nobody in front of him, Monkey used his magic powers to slide his cudgel out. He blew on it and said change, turning it into a pure steel file. Tugging at the ring at his neck, he filed it apart with 4 or 5 strokes of the file, then removed the file, freed himself, plucked out a hair, turned it into a replica of himself, and left it tied up there. Then in a flash he changed into a little devil and stood beside it. Up by the roof beam, Pig started to shout, "This is terrible, terrible! The one tied up is a fake. The genuine article is hanging up here." The Senior Demon King put his wine cup down to ask, "Why is Pig yelling?" Monkey, now in the guise of a little devil, came forward to report Pig was inside it. Son, the novice to transform himself and escape. Son refused to do so, and so Pig is yelling. Who said that Pig was well behaved? Asked the Junior King. Now we know just how cunning he is. He must be hit 20 times on the snout. When Monkey fetched a rod to hit him with, Pig said, "Don't hit me hard, because if you do, I'll start shouting again." "I know who you are. It's only for your sakes that I'm making all these transformations," replied Monkey. "Why did you have to give the game away?" "None of the demons in the cave knew who I was. It would have to be you who found out." "You may have altered your face," Pig replied. "But you can't change your backside. You have a patch of red on either cheek down there, don't you? That's how I know. It's you." Monkey went through to the inner quarters, slipped into the kitchens, rubbed the underneath of a pan, smeared the soot on both his buttocks, and went back to the front part of the cave. "Where's that monkey been messing around?" mocked Pig when he saw him. His bum's all black. Monkey was still standing in front of them, trying to steal their treasures. Being extremely wise, he entered the main hall, tugged at the old demon's leg, and said, "Your Majesty's son and novice is fidgeting around while he's tied to the pillar, trying to wear his way through the golden rope. It would be best to change it for a thicker one." "You're right," said the Senior Demon King, taking off the belt of lion hide he wore at his waist and handing it to Monkey, who used it to tie up the imitation monkey. The golden rope he tucked loop by loop into his sleeve before plucking out a hair, blowing on it with magic breath, and turning it into a copy of the dazzling golden cord, which he respectfully returned to the demon with both hands. The demon was too preoccupied with his drinking to look at it carefully as he accepted it. Thus it was that the great sage used his power of improvisation and turned a hair into the dazzling golden cord. Now that he had this treasure, he bounded out of the cave as fast as he could, turned back into himself, and shouted, "You devils! Who are you yelling like that?" The devils on the doors asked. "Go inside at once and announce to your lousy demon kings that the novice son is here." When the little devils passed on the message, the Senior King was greatly shocked. "We've captured Son the novice, so how can there be another novice son? He's nothing to be frightened of," said the Junior King. "We have all our treasures back. I'll fetch the gourd and put him inside it." "Do be careful, brother," said the Senior King. The junior king went outside carrying the gourd to see someone just like Son the novice, except that he was a little shorter. "Where are you from?" he asked. "I'm Son the novice's brother," Monkey replied. "I've heard that you've captured him, which is why I'm here to have it out with you." "Yes, I've got him," said the junior demon king. "He's tied up in the cave. As you're here, you must want to fight, and I'm willing to cross swords with you. But do you have the guts to answer if I call your name?" "If you call my name 1,000 times," said Monkey. "I'll answer 10,000 times," said Monkey. "I'll answer 10,000 times." The demon leapt into midair with his treasure, which he held upside down as he called out, "Novice son." Monkey did not dare reply. "If I reply," he thought, "he'll have me inside." "Why don't you answer me?" the demon asked. "I can't hear you," replied Monkey. "I'm a bit deaf." "Shout louder, novice son," the demon shouted again. Down below, Monkey pinched his own fingers as he thought things out. "My real name is Son the Novice. Novice Son is only a false name I've made up. With my real name I could be put in the gourd, but I reckon that with a false name I can't be." Unable to restrain himself any longer, he replied this time. With a roaring of wind, he was sucked into the gourd and the label was put on it. As it happened, it made no difference to that treasure whether a name was real or false. Any response was enough to get you put inside. The great sage found it pitch black inside the gourd. When he tried to raise his head, he could not move it at all, so tightly was he squeezed in it. He now began to feel very anxious. "The 2 little devils I met on the mountain," he thought, "told me that anyone put in the gourd or the vase turns to puss in 3.5 hours. Perhaps that's going to happen to me." Then he started on another line of thought. "No problem. I won't turn into puss. When I made havoc in the Palace of Heaven 500 years ago, Lord Lao Tzu put me in his 8 trigram furnace and fired me for 49 days. And this gave me a heart and liver of gold, lungs of silver, a brazen head, an iron back, eyes of fire, and golden pupils. I couldn't possibly be turned to puss in 3.5 hours. I'll let him take me inside and see what he does." Taking Monkey inside, the junior demon king said, "I've got him, brother." "Who?" the senior king asked. "I've brought the novice son packed in my gourd," the junior king replied. "Do sit down, dear brother," said the senior king, "and don't move. We must shake the gourd till we hear him sloshing around inside before taking the label off." Hearing this, Monkey wondered, how could they shake my body till they heard it sloshing around? They wouldn't hear anything unless I'd turned running. "I'll take a piss. Then if they shake me and hear us sloshing around, they're bound to take the label and the lid off, and I'll be able to get the hell out of here." "No, that won't do." Piss would sound right, but it would get my tunic filthy. "When he shakes the gourd, I'll have my mouth full of saliva that I can swish around noisily to fool him into opening up. Then I'll be off. The great sage got ready, but the demons were too thirsty for their wine to shake the gourd. So he thought of a way to trick them into shaking it. "Heavens!" he shouted. "My knuckles have turned to pus." But the demons still did not shake it. Then he shouted, "Mother, my waist is gone now." At this, the senior demon king said, "If he's turned to puss as far as the waist, he's finished. Take the label off and let's have a look." When the great sage heard this, he plucked out another hair, told it to change, and turned it into half of his own body, which he left in the bottom of the gourd. He turned himself into a tiny insect that perched near the mouth of the gourd. As soon as the junior demon king took the paper cover off, he flew out, did a roll, and turned into Ocean Dragon, the little devil who had gone with the invitation to the old lady. In this guise, he stood beside the path while the senior king removed the stopper from the gourd, craned his neck, and saw the half-body still moving. Not realizing that it was a fake, he called out in panic, "Shut it again, brother, shut it. He hasn't rotted down yet." The junior king put the cover back on. The great sage was discreetly delighted that they did not realize where he actually was. The senior demon king took the gourd, filled a cup to the brim with liquor, and offered it with both hands to the junior king, saying, "Please accept this drink for me." "Elder brother," replied the junior king, "I've drunk a great deal. I can't accept another." To this the senior king said, "Your capture of the Tang priest, pagan Friar Sand, was nothing special, but I insist on offering you some drinks to congratulate you on your achievement in tying up Son the novice and putting the novice son into your gourd." As his elder brother was showing him so much honor and respect, Junior King would have to accept the cup. But he was still holding the magic gourd, and it would have been rude to accept the cup in one hand. So he passed the gourd to Ocean Dragon to allow himself to receive the cup with both hands, unaware that Ocean Dragon was Monkey in disguise. Just watch Monkey respectfully holding the gourd as he stands in attendance. When the Junior King had drunk the liquor, he wanted to return the courtesy. "No need," said the Senior King. "I'll drink one with you." They were both being very modest. Monkey held the gourd and fixed his gaze on the two of them as they lost count of how many drinks they were giving each other. He slipped the gourd up his sleeve, pulled out a hair, and turned it into an exact facsimile of the gourd that he offered to the kings. After giving each other so many drinks, the two kings did not check its authenticity, but simply took their treasure, went to their places, sat down, and carried on drinking. The great sage got away. He was very pleased at having captured the treasures. In spite of these demon kings' magic powers, the gourd is now mine, he thought. If you don't know what he had to do to save his master and destroy the demons, listen to the explanation in the next installment.